Hey parents, I wanted to give you a video talking about handwriting. We have just started our handwriting in the class, and it is super important in kindergarten because they're learning how to write not only their letters and numbers correctly, but they're also learning how to get them inside the lines and write them at the right size. And that might be new for your students. So I wanted to give you some guidance and go through a couple of pointers that might help your student. In your folders, you're going to find the handwriting house, some manuscript information, and just a plain copy of the handwriting house so you can know how we do it here at PCA. So in kindergarten, the most important thing is fine motor first. So you'll see on the right some pencil grasp, a developmental continuum. Most of the students in the class are already over at the mature tripod grasp right here. Most of them are not using a fisted or a pronated grasp. I have watched everybody as they've been writing, and they're all in pretty good shape there. So that's great news. But I wanted to give you some thoughts on fine motor, because as your student learns how to write, not only is it important to get it inside the lines and have good eye-hand coordination and visual skills, but also strong arms and fingers. And that comes from the list on the things on the left here. Playing with these different items can really help to strengthen fingers. As they start to write more, when they get a little bit older, they're going to get really tired easily. And I've already had a few say, "Oh, Mrs. Dunn, my fingers hurt," or "too much." So we want them to concentrate on being able to write and not being so tired, or focus on being able to write and not be so tired. And so we've got to get those fingers strong. Now, what's different in this day and age is that video games and cell phones do not use this. And so we need to work on their strength for pencil grasp. Legos, Play-Doh, dressing dolls, beading, all of the things listed on the left-hand side will help your student. I wanted to touch on one of the things in the middle, working on a vertical surface or lying on their stomach. If their shoulders are strong, then their arms will be strong and their hands will be strong. So it sort of works from top down. So if you have refrigerator magnets or an easel that your student can write on, that really helps them to develop those strong shoulder muscles. Lying on their stomach also forces them to be able to balance and can help strengthen their shoulders. Playing basketball is another one I didn't even put on the list. But things that they can also then do with their fingers are really, really great for them to have strong pencil grasp. So the next thing that's super important, and we stress this so much in kindergarten, is their path of motion. And I'm providing you with the manuscript alphabet, and it'll show you the path of motion for each letter. It's super important that your student 99% of the letters times follows this. It'll show them 1, 2, 3 exactly how to write the letter, and you just follow the numbers with them. And it also has them almost always starting at the top and going down. So we are working, in fact, just today on vertical lines. We use the words vertical, horizontal, and diagonal with them. And we're working on vertical lines and diagonal lines, all starting at the top and going down. You will find with many of your students when they're writing that they're going from the bottom up because it's a little bit easier. It requires a little bit more dexterity to be able to write from the top down. So if they're writing anything at home, please watch them and help them develop the habit of starting at the top and pulling down, because it's a really hard habit to break. And I've already had to stop several students to just say, top down, and remind them. So the path of motion is in their folder. You can refer to it whenever you'd like. And then the handwriting house is specific to ABECA, which is our phonics curriculum. And this describes the lines for them and shows them where to write the letters according to where they might fall in a house. There's an upstairs, there's a downstairs, and there's a basement. And what's funny is most of us don't have basements in Florida. So we talked a lot today about what a basement is. And there are numbers are all upstairs. They're upstairs and downstairs, but they live upstairs. There are some letters that are upstairs letters you'll see in the middle. And then there are some letters that are just downstairs. Your lowercase letters, a lot of those are just downstairs. And then there are some letters that go in the basement. There's not many of them, 5 letters that go in the basement. And those are the hardest because they need to go underneath the red line here and down to the bottom blue line. So the dotted line is what divides the upstairs and the downstairs, and we just work to ensure that students get in the right part of the line. So they're really working on that visual perception and being able to hold their hands still enough and have strong fine motor skills to be able to write their letters correctly. So each day I teach a different letter. We go through the handwriting for, when I teach a different letter, I should say, we go through the handwriting for that letter. We talk about, is it upstairs, downstairs, is it in the basement, and then we practice it. Now we practice in a workbook. We got these wonderful new workbooks this year. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show you an example of it right here on the next slide. This is the letter L page, and we go through and we talk about, okay, top down, they start at the dot, then they go over horizontal for L, for example. And we practice tracing, and then we practice writing, and then I have them circle the best one that they did on their own. And then they get to, because some kiddos are faster and some are slower, they can write the words while they're waiting for their friends to finish. We also, at the beginning of the book, just have some time to actually talk about and write vertical and horizontal lines. We also do curves and circles, so when we get to C and O and those letters that have curves and circles in them, they can practice and they know the correct way to go. And then lastly, we also talk about writing positions. I'm pretty strict that they sit up straight, put their belly to the table and their feet on the floor so that their arms are in the right position to be able to write. I do have quite a few left-handed writers in our classroom this year, so we talk about slanting the paper just a little bit so that they can write at a better angle, and our right-handed writers need to put the paper straight up and down and hold the pencil just as it's shown, and then they write. So we do work with them a little bit on that. So I'd love for you to practice at home with your children, and feel free to reach out to me if you guys have any questions on writing. Thank you.